All right, guys, I want to give you a basic economics on the US dollar and the United States economy as well as the global economy. So there's a lot of gold bugs and Bitcoin maxis out there calling for the complete collapse of the US dollar. And they say you need to buy gold or you need to buy Bitcoin. One of them, depending on who you're listening to, it's going to become the currency of the world, and you need to have it because the dollar is going to collapse. Bitcoin is going to go to millions of dollars, and gold's going to go to tens of thousands of dollars per ounce. I have no doubt. I'm a Bitcoin believer. I have no doubt Bitcoin's going a lot higher. I believe gold is going a lot higher. I do believe that the dollar will continue to devalue over time. I do not believe that the United States dollar is going to completely collapse. These gold bugs and Bitcoin maxis are actually calling, or some of them are actually calling for hyperinflation in America. And I'm going to show you how they're completely wrong, whether they don't know this or they know it and they choose not to tell you. It's a different story. So what you're looking at here is the US dollar market, okay? And let's say this is the Fed and the Treasury printing dollars. The Fed are putting it to use and pouring it into the United States by printing money. In the United States, there's currently about 2.3 trillion US dollars within the borders of the United States. And that's what you'd be seeing here. Okay, so think of it as like a pool, this enormous pool full of dollars, right? And it continually is being poured in. Now, there is something called euro dollar market. Okay, that's down here. So up here you have the US dollar market, which was what we just showed. And what you can see is it pours into what's called the euro dollar market. That does not mean it's the euro. It doesn't even mean it's Europe. The euro dollar market is all dollars that fall outside the boundaries of the United States. Okay, it's in Europe, it's in Asia, it's in Eastern Europe, it's in Australia, it's in South America, it's in Africa. Okay, dollars are all around the planet. This started after World War II. We started putting money to work to help rebuild Europe, right, and Japan after World War II. And banks got involved, the government got involved, and we just kept making more money. And at that time, the money was backed by gold. But once we went off the gold standard, whatever it was, 26 years later, they were able to just completely print the money and give it to these countries, and banks lending it, right, offshore money. Let's put it that way. It's so out of control that the United States government doesn't know the actual dollar amount, okay? Economists, they debate what it is. If you look it up, some economists are saying $7-8 trillion. There are some economists that say $57 trillion. There's more and more economists starting to lean towards the 57 trillion. There's some that are even saying more than that, okay? So what you're seeing here is the US dollar being printed in the United States boundaries and then being poured out into this enormous pool, right? Remember, this was a pool up here, into an enormous pool of dollars. So you could print the United States government could print as much as they want because it's being sent offshore because the world is clamoring for dollars. And there's been a lot of talk about the BRICS creating their own currency. God bless them. Let them try to do it, right? And they may just pull it off. But you know what? The citizens of those countries, they don't want it. They don't want this new currency, and they're not going to want it. They want dollars. You talk to people in Brazil. You talk to people in India. You talk to people in Russia. I've been to Russia. They want dollars, okay? So, and US dollars. So you have all this, which is not, by printing the money, yes, we could see inflation in America. Are we going to see massive inflation? Are we going to see hyperinflation? Absolutely not, because the money goes out into the euro dollar market. The world would have to see massive inflation based off the US dollar before the United States does. This will take We won't see it in our lifetime. Trust me, we will not see it in our lifetime. And if we do, these people throughout the rest of the world are going to be, we will know it's coming because they will be having massive inflation all around the world. I'm not just talking like in Venezuela or in Argentina, they're having their big problems. I'm talking developed countries, Germany, England, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, right? They would have to have massive, massive inflation before it comes to America. All right. So don't fall for what they're saying. And I'll show you one more chart. This is as far back as I could go on TradingView. It's the US dollar index since 1960s, mid 60s, right? You can see all these decades, okay? All these decades. There has always been talk the United States dollar is going to completely collapse, right? The gold bugs have been scaring people since the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and up to today. The Bitcoin people started in the last 6, 7, 8 years. The U.S. dollar is going to collapse. And guess what? It was in a downtrend from 1980, early 80s, mid 80s, let's call it. But I didn't draw the line, but if I was to draw a trend line that connects this top to this top, to this top, it would be a perfect trend line, right? And guess what? We broke that trend line back in the first half of 2022. So you hear these people, Peter Schiff and whatnot, calling and say the U.S. dollar is going to collapse. It may pull back. It's trading at 101 and change this morning, right? I took this picture last week. It was 103 and change. They could pull back, but in technical analysis, it's actually broke its trend line and breaking up to the upside. It may go back and test that trend line for sure, but it's going to, guess what? It's going to have support down here. It's going to have support here. It's going to have support here and here and here. If the dollar was to break 70, that would be a different story, but we are a long way from breaking 70. If it breaks 70, there's other problems that we need to look at. And at that point, we may have to visit what's going on in the euro dollar market. So it was just something I wanted to show you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't fall for all the fear mongering by the Bitcoin maxis and the gold bugs. And I'm a Bitcoin person, okay? And Bitcoin's going a lot higher in my opinion, but not for the reasons they are telling you. It's not going to be a collapse of the US dollar, and we're not going to have hyperinflation in America. Hope you enjoyed it.